Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, I still haven't finished working on my Taxus. Late this fall, I was able to find some really good deals on a couple of Taxus trees, and I already pruned up one of those. You can check out that episode from a few times back. But we're going to work on Taxus number 2 today. But you know, when it's the 19th of November and it's this beautiful out, you gotta go for a walk. I did that a little bit earlier today. There's not a whole lot to do on the Taxus today, except for to do what I did with the last one, and that is to get rid of some of the 3s. You know, we go from 3 down to 2 a lot of times when we prune our bonsai trees, and I want to have all the energy that's really going to be stored up nice in the spring to shoot out where I want it to shoot out, and I don't want any of these big thick clusters of 3s to get thicker and bulkier. So I'm going to try to go around this tree again today and see if I can find some of the clunky things to cut out, go from the 3s to the 2, find a decent nabari for this thing and see what branches we're going to maybe keep or take off. As I start to spin and look at this, I have another piece of video to show you, and this one is on my forest, my Minnesota forest number 2, I think I used to label it. This is the one with the Alberta spruce that I have in the background, and I wanted the front trees to be the quake and aspen. Up north, when I go up north, when you see the spring release of those buds and you see that light lime green color from a distance and the lighter colored bark on the quake and aspen trees against the pine background, I just always think that's really stunning. So I try to recreate that. I've had some difficulty with this forest, and I have a couple of trees left from the original aspen trees, but then I also have a couple of Zelkova, so the Japanese elm trees that I placed in there. And those trees are kind of funky looking trees all on their own. They kind of look like, they're just kind of swirly, curly, almost look like an oak tree in a big forest when you're driving up to the cabin way in the distance. With all the different branches going all over the place. Really good tree for clip and grow, by the way. If you want to get yourself some Zelkovas, check those out. So those are in the foreground of this forest as I work on it. But here's me just clipping the trees in the back, the pine trees. So the dwarf Alberta spruces in the back, I just want to be kind of tall, eventually almost old growth pines that have been there forever, tall and skinny, where the bottoms start to lose their branches over time. I've taken out some of the lower branches over the last year or so, so I'm going to trim this thing up, thin it real nice, so all the energy in this forest will be ready to push out in the springtime. We've got that last push of yard work in the neighborhood. Across the street, they got the huge blowers getting the leaves and mulching things up. And so hopefully the noise is at a minimum for y'all folks at home while I work in my backyard, trying to escape from some of the noise. So this tree has a whole bunch of things going on. Here's kind of a main trunk here, but then here's a main trunk here as well. So it goes down pretty low before it connects down here. So until I see this thing out of the pot in the future, I don't know if it's going to be a solo or a twin or a multi-trunk tree. So today I'm not going to be ultra concerned about that, but I am going to kind of get rid of some of the long leggy stuff here down towards the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the 3s out. We're going to go from 3s to 2 wherever we can. But we've got this really long leggy growth here with some of these branches, and that's just going to, you know, it's been blocked out by the sun. They're kind of weak and spindly. And because this tree is showing good back budding, I'm not afraid to cut these all back. And so we can have some new branches flushing out in the springtime. We got a big, thick chunk of branch right here with some nice branching back here. And this is just so thick up here. There's a lot going on. We're just going to cut those 2 off. That was a twin split right there. And we've got 1, 2, 3, not quite on the same plane here. And so then I'll come up here and I'll just cut this tip off. I'll come up here and cut this up here so it's just down to 2. So that right there, I don't know what I'll keep of that, and it might be lower than that in the future. But look at how nice and thinned out that is from the thickness that was on there. And again, I don't know the style of this tree by any stretch, but because there's so many 3s here, we're going to go down to 2s. There's a 2. There now, we'll cut that tip off, and then those are balanced for next year. We're going to be able to, let's go down even 1 more. And so those are balanced and we'll have some growth there. Now we come over here and we've got some funky stuff down below here. Don't even know where some of this is coming from. Really low in the tree. And again, until we get this thing out of the pot and see it, we don't know what kind of a tree design this is going to be. So we can't be making any crazy decisions today. But we can certainly cut out some of the long, wispy, leggy stuff because it's just long and leggy and really not going to serve us very well. But here's another branch. I have no idea if this branch is going to stay here. It's kind of wonky compared to these branches, comes way out here, but again, this could be a multi-trunk tree. But look at all that growth right up top here, super thick up there. If we cut it down, let's say to here, cut all that middle stuff up, cut this one down to here. Now you see this section here. Now we've got 1 that splits into 2. We'll cut that nub off later. And then up here it splits again pretty quickly, which is kind of nice, into 2s here. And so this will have a lot of energy next year. I can actually cut this long one off here. So we have 2, actually we have 3 still there. So look at there. We got a couple branches there. We have a couple branches here. Now these are long and wispy, and I see a branch coming out there and I see a branch coming below there. So right here, these 2 branches, and there's some extra splitting right there. Much thinner now, and we can make decisions when we see what kind of design this is going to be. Again, another really thick branch. You're growing really nice and sturdy. Got some fun branching going on here, but we've got just too much going on. I think I'm gonna cut this one down to there. We're gonna cut this down to now that's a very small pair of 2s down there, but we are splitting down to 2s. Come in here, we split down, there's only 2 left. We come here, take out this middle one. This one's kind of long and leggy, but I don't know the design of this tree yet, so I'm not sure what I wanna do. Let's bring it down though to this 2. So I took out this one so we could have here and here. And this one we could take off completely. We spin the tree around. Now we've got this big clump right here. I'm gonna go ahead right up here and be aggressive and just take that off right here. This has some nice division down below, 2 different times down deep, so I'm gonna go down low. This one here is an awful big branch. We'll leave it with these 2 right there and there. So again, I cut off about 2/3 of that section of that tree right there. And we have lots of back bud and we're still gonna be A-okay. And then we have left the main trunk of the tree, really. We got some of these low wispy things in here that, again, I don't know what's gonna happen. I see a branch right here that's coming straight out right here in the trunk in a really weird way. Let's get rid of that one. And this one's coming from the ground right here. This could be 4 inches down and it could be attached to the trunk 3 or 4 inches down, maybe 2 inches. We just don't know. This one as well, I have no idea what that one's gonna do. That one, I just don't even like it compared to where the other ones are. So I'm just cutting that one off right there. This one will be interesting. Who knows what that one's gonna be? So we'll go ahead and leave it alive. We'll cut it down shorter here and we'll see what happens with these branches when we get into a thicker pot in its future. But right now we have all that's really left is this big honking tree, and that might be the main tree, and it's got some fun movement. It kind of comes up out of the pot down here at the bottom of my cutters here and my finger. It's coming this way. This branch shoots off this way, and this one kind of shoots up this way, more straight up, then comes over towards the right, and now it's curving back this way. So then it goes into the 3 right there. There's the 3. Boom, boom, boom. Now, directional pruning. Don't forget, you don't always have to cut that middle one off. You might want to cut a different one off. And before I do that, you see how long these are? And look, there's some more back budding right there and there. So I'm just going to cut off this thick one here and this thick one here. We don't need that if we've got all of this back budding in here. This branch is kind of lopsy right now, and we might have damaged that one a little bit. But here we go. See, we even have a back bud right here, right next to this junction. So this tree is in really good health and it's going to be in great shape next spring to push off some growth. So it is kind of going a little bit this way. Do we want it to go back out there? We might want it to go back out there. Not sure. I don't like the straight up one regardless because there's no movement, so I'm going to take that one out. And then this one goes into 3 as well. So if I cut this front one off, we got it back to 2 in here, and there's actually 3 more branches still alive. So there we've got our 2 here and here, our main branches. And they're obviously splitting 2. So lots of back budding in there. We could go down even further if we wanted to. I'll let it go for this season. We'll see if we get any dieback in the wintertime. And then this one right here, this one's growing at a funky angle. I've got these 2 beautiful ones right here and here, so let's cut this one off back there. And then that one, there we go. So all of these have been manicured. This one I still left 3 on. They're not in the same junction point, but there is still 3. But one's much lower and it's in the back, so I still think I might leave it. But again, we've got all this nice lower growth down here, so when we spin this thing around now, we thin this thing out pretty good. And the biggest challenge, of course, is we don't know what this tree is going to look like. We don't know what's going to be the front. We don't know if it's going to be a multi-trunk or a solo trunk. There's a lot going on. This is going to be fun. This will be a fun one in the spring to dig in there and to go like, hey, what is this thing going to offer me? And then we'll just go from there. This is a long branch from that piece we don't really need. Got some weeds in here. All right. You know what? It's a beautiful fall day. We don't have to go too crazy on this tree. Now it's got a little less foliage. And this one will probably, I'll just decide if I'm going to put it in a cold frame if I have room. But it's in a big old nursery pot, number 5, a lot of dirt in there. It's just going to freeze solid. It's a Minnesota hardy tree. This Taxus should be just fine. I'll just keep it out of the direct sun and the direct wind as much as I can. And yeah, we'll be ready to shoot or take care of this one in the spring. We're not going to do any shooting at all.
On today's update, we're back inside the passive solar green frame.
And what are these big bolts with loops in there? The ropes hanging from there? That's right, connecting up the hammock inside the PSGF. Nothing like resting with the trees. Might take myself a little nap. Another stellar day in Minnesota with temps in the 50s. The PSGF is warming up, the door's open. I got another Taxus taken care of. I went for a walk today. Last thing on my list is I gotta do some watering. So with all this beautiful sunshine and warmth, now November is the cloudiest month for us in Minnesota, and it's been just absolutely sunny from wall to wall, northeast, south, and west. But that means your plants are drying out. So I gotta go do a whole bunch of watering by hand with my water bottles and get those things all watered. So until the next one, hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one.